Okay, recently I finished Parasite the Maxim, and I wasn't really as big a fan of it as everyone else seems to be. I thought it was okay, it was fine. A lot of the side characters were underdeveloped. I'm specifically talking about Shinichi's dad and Murano. Shinichi's dad gets a little bit more of the spotlight in terms of like character development. He's, obviously going through, well, spoilers, but going through losing his wife and his son just sort of going off the rails a little bit. And then, but Murano really has no excuse. She's the primary love interest, and that's all she is, which is very disappointing because there could have been way more to her. So it's frustrating. But yeah, that was one of my issues with it. Another issue I had was that it just sort of felt like at times it was introducing elements just for the sake of introducing elements and introducing them in such like a, oh, by the way, this is also a thing. It just didn't feel right. Like, there would be times when it would cut back to, it would like start an action scene or build up to an action scene, cut back to Shinichi and Migi in their room, and then have them discuss something that will be vital to the scene that we're cutting back to. And it just feels like they could have set it up a little bit earlier. Yeah, I just wasn't really the biggest fan of that sort of method of storytelling. Combine that with Shinichi's arc being very unsubtle, and I wasn't really like that invested. I will say it did have some great moments. For example, everything with Shinichi's mother was amazing. Everything with Ryuka Tamura was amazing, and I thought the ending, like the very ending, was very tense, very suspenseful, and I really liked it. But ultimately, I'd give the anime a C plus. Maybe I wasn't really huge on it. There was the next thing obviously after watching Parasite the Maxim, I went and watched the live action films. Going into them, I sort of wanted them just to clean up the storytelling a little bit, keep it concise. I wasn't really looking for anime loyalty, just keep the themes, the spirit of the story, and sort of tell a more concise story that characterizes everyone, or the side characters, a little bit better. And we didn't really get that. Although I do kind of prefer the films on their own as individual films to the anime, which I know is probably a controversial statement, but I enjoyed both of the films. I thought that part one had slightly less impressive action than part two, because part two had some really cool stuff. But I mean, I enjoyed them both. They did feel very sterile. They felt very like clean. Like a parasite bites a woman's head off in the opening of the first film, and rather than any sort of blood coming out of the neck wound or just the open neck, we just see sort of like someone's just green screened it off. Like someone's found out you can remove things with a green screen and has played around with that, and it just felt very underwhelming at that point. And a lot of the violence felt like that. It felt very like, oh, we need to keep it sort of, edgy. There is blood, there is body parts, but not too much, not anything excessive, which really felt like, I don't know, it made the parasites less scary. That was something that really worked in the anime, was that the parasites sort of felt like, in the beginning, they felt scary because like they were kind of horrifying. And even though stories like The Thing and Invasion of the Body Snatchers have done what Parasite the Maxim tried to do, in the film it just kind of feels a little bit more tame and like a rip-off because of how tame it is. But still, I enjoyed the films. They had a nice fast pacing to them, which is something that I think would have helped the anime a little bit more if the pacing was sorted out. Like, the pacing was fast in the anime, but the anime had way more time to stretch things out, to make things more developed. whereas the film had less time and seemed to just cram it in, going at like a supersonic pace. So where the character development did suffer a lot, it still was. It was. I don't want to say guilty pleasure, but it wasn't. They're not amazing. I wouldn't say they're particularly groundbreaking films, but just popcorn entertainment. They're fun. They're not. They're not amazing, but they're enough for popcorn entertainment. And whilst I know Parasite, Parasite the Maxim is more than that. Parasite the films does a good job. They do a good job considering that they're just popcorn entertainment. One of my favourite scenes in the live action films is Goto's attack, or no, it's Miki. Miki's attack on the Yakuza. That whole scene was way more like, I really preferred the sort of just seeing it all happen from the outside, seeing the blood splatter on the windows. That and the taxi kill from the beginning of the first film. Sorry, not first kill. Those kills where they just sort of spray the windows with blood, they seem oddly more violent than the ones where people are getting their head bitten off and things like that. And I really appreciate it. I thought it worked really well, even though it probably wasn't. It's not the most gory, but it worked. But yeah, I enjoyed both films. I'd give them both a B. I think one major problem I do have with the second film, even though I prefer the second film to the first, I do really hate how they reshuffled where they put the sex scene with Marina. I can never pronounce her name properly. They put it right. They put it once Shinichi has lost Migi. But the problem with that is that, like, in the anime, I may have missed something, but it was my understanding that Marino never really knew about Migi. Like, she knew something was up, obviously, but unless I'm just forgetting something super obvious, and please correct me if I am, but I never thought that Shinichi was, like, I never thought Shinichi gave up his secret to Marina. Whereas in the film, there's no way she doesn't know. She sees him with Migi, like, she sees the climax, which is a little bit weird to me. It just goes nowhere. She sees Shinichi with no arm. She must have seen the eye when Migi showed himself. I don't know. I can't really say that it made it all too much sense in the film. And the moment at the end, I did really prefer the ending of the anime to the ending of part 2, just because it was a lot more tense there. But overall, I think the action in the anime wasn't as good as it was in the film, and I think these set pieces in the anime as well weren't as good. Like, they had 2 school action set pieces, whereas in part 1 they moved Mr. A's attack out of the school and over to an alleyway, which I think it works a little bit better there, just because it adds a bit more variety in the locations. It's not the most groundbreaking of locations, but at least it's not like, oh, okay, we've got another action set piece in the school. It makes Shimada's whole attack more, not impressive, but like out of the blue, sort of scary. It works better for that attack if Mr. A's isn't there. And I also prefer that Mr. A killed Shinichi's mum. That works so much better for me in the films. But yeah, one thing as well with the films, they didn't really address my issues with Murna and Shinichi's dad. Yeah, Shinichi's dad was cut and Murna was sort of given even less character development, it seems. Which, yeah, it's just issues I have with Parasite as a whole. Now, given that Murno and Shinichi's dad are criminally sidelined, but overall, I'd say I enjoyed the films, definitely. They do have just a edge of popcorn entertainment that is that is missing sort of from the anime. The anime feels a lot like it didn't really feel like as entertaining, especially given how Shinichi changes so rapidly, so all over the place as well. I don't know, I just wasn't big on the anime, but I'd give both the films a B, the anime a C+. So yeah, if you enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and see you guys next time.